Hey interweb, it's Mick the old punk. Just getting over a coughing fit here, so forgive me if my voice is a bit off. So I was just out with my dog. Took him out for a Saturday morning hike. Gets him the ability to run free and gets me off my ass and climbing some hills and what have you. So it's good for both of us. And as I'm driving there, I'm doing a WhatsApp text messaging thing on and off with an old friend. And this is one of my oldest friends. We've been friends for 30 plus years. But he's also my most negative friend. And something happened that made me think maybe this is a good topic to talk about, because I'm going to give you my take on it, and then if you have a similar situation, a similar take, or perhaps even a better, more positive take on this, you can share it in the comments so I can learn from it and perhaps others can. So with trauma and never feeling you're good enough, speaking for myself only, I sometimes question the friends I have. Meaning that I have to accept certain types of behavior from them because I'm not good enough. Nobody would like me. Who would want to be my friend? That kind of thing, right? Some of it is just pure trauma talking. Some of it is being an introvert and just not making the effort to make new friends more frequently. And then some of it is, I think, again, trauma related, but more from the sense of, how do I put this? You need to have a negative voice because it prevents you from losing humility. It prevents you from being arrogant. And the irony of that is, anybody who knows me tells me I'm very humble, which I take pride in that. But I've been told multiple times that I am too humble. And I didn't know that was a thing. And because of the trauma, anytime I have anything remotely positive that I have achieved or accomplished, I bite my tongue from telling people because I don't want to come across as braggadocious or arrogant. But this particular friend, we've been friends since the late 80s. And for years I had that sort of mental image, you know, a positive angel on one shoulder and a little devil on the other. And I always figured him to be like that little devil saying, no, you can't do that. You gotta temper expectations, you know, curb back your enthusiasm, that kind of thing. The last few years, our friendship, I don't want to say strained, but that might be the easy way of explaining it, but our friendship is changing. He's definitely very negative. He's definitely becoming more negative with age, and we're approximately the same age. And he's had some trauma in his life, but he's never addressed it. You know, that's his choice. And for years, we chat mostly online because we're both IT guys. We chat online, and I would say the sky is blue and it can have, you know, clouds. And he'd say, well, no, there's no clouds. And, you know, it'd go back, well, I say, no, you misunderstood. I'm talking about has clouds. But, and I would constantly be having to defend my position because either I didn't articulate it clearly, or he wasn't paying that much attention when he read it, or that's just his nature to pick apart anything I said. Perhaps others, I don't know. And because our friendship has gone back so far, and the crazy thing is, I'm making him sound like a bad person. He's not a bad person. The crazy thing is, once you get through the superficial stuff, he's a great guy. I like him. Although getting through the superficial stuff's not easy. I've introduced him over the years to my other friends, and none of my other friends like him, couldn't even understand why I was friends with him. But again, once you get through those outside walls, he's a good guy. So where was I? Oh yeah. So over the last few years, our friendship has been changing. We're both getting older. His kids are basically leaving home now, going away to college. And we're both fast approaching retirement age, you know? And he is actively, I'm deliberate with that word, he is actively putting less and less effort into our friendship. To the point now where for at least a year, I can send him a message on WhatsApp. He's in another country. I can send him a message on WhatsApp and he just may not respond, which previous, that would rarely, if ever, happen. Now it's a common occurrence, to the point where even I could ask him a question and he doesn't answer. Period. You know, I was surprised the other day, and out of habit I still do it. I asked him something, he didn't respond, and about 5 or 6 days later he did. But I noticed it was after he had something he wanted to share with me. And so I started thinking, well, you know what? I'm not going to continue to put effort into this if it's just one-sided. So when he would drop these breadcrumbs of, you know, I've been looking at doing this, or I've been looking at doing that in the past. Oh, really? Why? And I'd start asking, you know, qualifying questions about it. Now I don't, because like, why would I bother? You know, you're showing zero interest in my life. You're not even making the effort to respond to me and stuff now. And then today, we were talking about the political arena here in the US. And we were talking about presidential stuff, we were talking about Supreme Court stuff and what have you. And I'm not going to get into that. It doesn't matter what side of the fence you're on. And I was talking about one side of it, and he was talking about the other side of it. And that's fine, going back and forth. And it wasn't an argument, it wasn't contentious or anything like that. But I said something specifically related to one side, Supreme Court actually. And his response was kind of like a, well, duh, but his response was regarding presidential side of things, which was not what I had been talking about. And that bothered me. And my go-to move in the past would be to defend my position. And not defend my position in the sense of an argument, defend my position and say, no, look, that's not what I was talking about. I was talking about this, and this is what I meant. And we've been down this road many times over the years where I could literally be going back and forth, and I'm saying A, he's saying B, I'm saying A, he's saying B. And I'm stubborn, he's stubborn, and eventually I might wear him down, sometimes not. But it was never even remotely satisfying to do that. And it's not even about being right, it's actually about being heard. And so I read this message. I'm like, how do I respond to this? You know what? I'm not going to respond right away. So I just left the phone in the car took the dog out on the hike, thought about it while we were walking, and then decided when we got back into the car, I thought of half a dozen different things to say, but a lot of them were leaning towards defending my position. And then when I got back into the car, I just picked up my phone, I replied, and I basically said something to the effect of, "Hey, you old fart, pay attention." And that's about the most playful way. We you know, we're guys, we name call each other, it's not a big deal. Much worse than that. But because I was defending myself, standing up for myself, I wanted to make it abundantly clear that I'm being playful, I'm not being confrontational. So I'm like, "Hey, you old fart, pay attention. I was referring to this." And I didn't say not that. The part he was referring to, I let him fill in the blank. So this is huge for me, because in the past I would say, "Hey, mate," I wouldn't call him old fart. I was actually referring to this, not that, and I'd go into this long-winded explanation. And he may or may not respond, blah, blah, blah. So I responded that way. "Hey, you old fart, pay attention. I was talking about this." Then I got, put the phone down, drove home, made a cup of coffee, and looked at my phone, and he hasn't responded. And I have to say, for the first time in a long time, it felt good. Because I wasn't actively defending my position. I wasn't having to justify my position. That's it right there. I wasn't having to justify my position or justify having an opinion. But I also wasn't coming across as needy, saying, "Hey, please pay attention to what I'm saying, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, no. If you want to have a conversation with me, great. If you don't want to have a conversation with me, so be it. But if you're gonna take the time to respond to something I've said, at least pay attention to what I said. I don't think I could have done this a couple of years ago. And again, this is a friend of over 30 years. I couldn't have done this a few years ago because I was so desperate to keep him as a friend and would accept almost any behavior. So I'm going to treat that as a personal win, a personal growth win. And I'm curious, do you have negative friends that you know are not healthy for you, mentally, emotionally? I would love to hear your stories. I would love to hear why you keep them. I'd love to hear why you don't replace them. And replace them is such a crude word. I think I would love to hear why you don't find new friends who might ultimately replace that friendship. That's probably a better way of putting that. But since I'm not editing these things, deal with it. Alright guys, that's it. I'm going to try and keep this under 15 minutes. As I say, always raw, always real, always unscripted. Hope you're having a good weekend. Be good to yourself.